Talking fractions. Here we go. Please copy what's on the board on page 5 in your packet. Or notice we already did the multiplication, so today you're writing down the steps for division. You'll notice the first step is the exact same, change all mixed numbers to improper fractions. Then step 2, keep, flip, change, or KFC. It also could be thought of as stay, change, change. Multiply by the reciprocal is the way that you might hear it mathematically. Step 3 is just to multiply straight across. Step 4 is to simplify. You're going to get it wrong unless you simplify. And step 5 is to check the sign. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. So 4 divided by 1/2. If you think of 4 divided by 1/2 as being like a ruler that is marked from 1 to 4 inches. If you divide it into halves, you're basically saying how many halves are there in 4 holes. So there's 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 total halves. And you could say then that 4 divided by 1/2 is equal to 8. Another way to think of this is 4/1 times 2/1, which equals 8/1, or 8. So really what we're doing is we're figuring out how many of these fractions fit into the whole. A reciprocal is a number that when you multiply it by the original, it equals 1, positive 1 that is. So 3/4, if you flip it, that's called the reciprocal. When you multiply that, it equals positive 1. The reciprocal of -5/12 would be -12/5. Because when you multiply straight across, you get -60/60 or 1. 6 times 1/6 is also 1. So the multiplicative inverse of a whole number, you first put it over 1 and then flip it. The multiplicative inverse, we've talked about that word before, but it's just basically what do you multiply by to get 1? When you're dividing, just like we wrote down in our notes, first you change to improper, and then you keep, flip, change it to multiplication, and flip the second fraction, and then you go ahead and multiply. When you simplify, you're basically using dividing by 1 to figure out a simplified answer. And don't forget to check your sign. So for example, 2 and 1/3 divided by 3/4, first you would change it to 7/3 divided by 3/4. Then you would change it to multiplication and then flip the second fraction, only the second fraction. And lastly, multiply straight across. 7 times 4 is 28, 3 times 3 is 9, and then you can change it to a mixed or an improper fraction. From an improper fraction to a mixed number. 28 divided by 9. Divide, you get 3 wholes. 3 times 9 is 27. Subtract, you get 1. So that is 3 1/9. Always remember, keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, and change the sign to multiply. That's what KFC stands for. All right, your turn. -3/4 divided by 1/2. For this, keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, and change it to multiply. This is -6/4. When we divide, 6 divided by 4, 4 goes in 1 time with 2 left over. 2/4 gets written as your final fraction. Don't forget the sign, but we can simplify that to -1 and 1/2. -5/8 divided by -12. Try it yourself. -5/8 stays the same. We change this to multiply, and we flip this. Remember, this is like being over 1, so it's -1/12. Multiply straight across, you get 5/12 times 8, which I can't do in my head, so I'm going to do it over here, is 96. And my final answer is positive 5/96. Because we can't simplify, that is our answer. What are your questions?